Hi and welcome. In today's video, we're going to use Crayola markers to color in this beautiful quote, "Bloom where you are planted." You can use any markers for this. I'm going to use some spring-colored Crayola markers. So the first word, bloom, we're going to start with yellow. And I'm just going to fill in the tops of the letters. So I'm going to start at the top. And I'm not going to go all the way down filling in the whole letter. I'm just going to do the top section. Even these little pieces, these are called flourishes. They're part of calligraphy where you can add beautiful decorations to the letters. So we're just going to color in the top part. It doesn't have to be exactly the top half, just the top section of these letters. You can use short strokes here, or you can use long ones if you prefer. So you can lift up your marker as many times as you like. You can stay inside of these guidelines, or you can go outside of them. It doesn't matter. Whatever feels fun to you. I'm using yellow for the top part of this, but you can use a different color. Because the quote is about flowers and blooming, I'm going to stick with some flower-themed colors. Okay, let's switch to pink. So now we're going to start at the bottom of these letters. So here's the trick. You can spin your paper around if you want to try out different angles. So if it's easier for you to spin your paper around any direction, you don't have to keep it straight up and down the whole time. You can make it go sideways, you can make it go upside down, and just fill in the bottom of these letters. I'm going to leave a small space of white between the pink and the yellow. This is very relaxing, just coloring in the spaces. Some people prefer to draw around the outer border like this and then go and fill in the letters. So if that feels more comfortable for you, you can do that. We just want to fill these letters in and go almost up to where that yellow ends. It's okay if it overlaps a little bit. So once you're done with your second color, let's flip this back around and see what it looks like so far. Okay, so I think we can do a little bit of color blending. Oops, it looks like I forgot a spot right here. Don't worry if you forget a spot, you can always go back and fill it in later. Okay. Now I want to choose a color that's in between these. So something that's in between pink and yellow, and I think a really good color for that would be orange. Now everywhere in between where the pink and the orange are close to each other, I'm going to use orange, and it's almost like we're blending the colors. We're just going to draw short lines in between these colors like this. Just in that white space between the yellow and the pink. Like this. You can go up and down if you want. Okay. After I finish a step, I like to stop and just look at what I've done so far to see if there's any spaces that I missed, like I almost missed this tail of the M. Okay. Okay, now we want to try to blend the orange into the yellow just a little bit more. So I'm going to take my yellow again, and I'm going to start inside of the orange color and go up, and just blend it up into my yellow. It's not going to blend like paint, because if you were finger painting or using a paintbrush, you could move the paint around a little bit more easily, but because of the paper we're using, the ink gets a little bit absorbed into the paper. So we can slightly blend it, and even just going over the same spots with the same color will darken it up. So if you go over the same yellow area with even more yellow, then it will turn it a little bit darker yellow. And now we're trying to introduce some of the orange as well. Okay, so you can go over this a couple of times. You can go backwards and forwards, it doesn't matter if you go in the order of the letters from left to right. You can be creative. Okay. So let's look at what we have so far. We have the word bloom. Okay, next we can move on to this line, where you. So bloom where you are planted. What would be a good color for the middle section? Let's look at what colors we have. Maybe we could do purple. Let's choose purple. And for this one, I'm going to draw around the outside edge of the letters. So instead of going inside like we did here, let's carefully try to go over the outlines of the letters. So on your paper, you can see that we've outlined the letters with light gray. So we're just tracing the outline, just being very careful. So it'll start to look like this. You can go letter by letter, or you can start wherever feels most comfortable for you. So for example, I haven't even finished tracing around the W yet, and I'm already on the H. But that's okay, because I'm just going on the tops of the letters, and then we'll do the bottom after. Try to make it look like a single outline going around the whole word. And if it gets a little bit off of the gray line, that is no big deal. We're just trying to have some fun with color and words. So these words are written in a style of modern calligraphy. Calligraphy is beautiful handwriting. You might spend a lot of your time typing on the computer or on a device, or you might spend a lot of time writing with a pencil or a pen in print handwriting. You might even know cursive. But calligraphy is a little bit different. In calligraphy, you'll see that the letters are all connected to one another, just like they are in cursive. But there are some differences in cursive versus calligraphy. In calligraphy, you may have strokes or lines, parts of the letters that are thicker or thinner than others. Okay, so it looks like we finished the word where. Maybe we can also do the word you in the same style with the purple outline. Traditional calligraphy has a lot of elegant looking letters. There are lots of rules that you can follow in traditional calligraphy to make it look like calligraphy. Modern calligraphy is, you can think of it like it's breaking the rules a little bit. So like right here, you can see that all of the letters aren't sitting on a straight line. We have some ups and downs. That's called bounciness. And your letters can look like they're dancing. Okay, while I'm outlining this, I'm going to rotate my paper a little bit. For certain areas, it's just, sometimes it can be easier if you spin the paper different directions so that you can see how you're outlining it a little bit better. Just follow the line all around the letter. You can go very slowly with this. The slower you go, the more neat it will look. If you rush through it, it might look a little bit messier. And you can always start over if you want. You can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you want, you can start again. But the main goal is to have fun and to relax and to make something pretty. Okay, so when I think of plants, I also think of the color green. So we're going to switch to a green marker now. Okay, and for this one, how about we start with the word planted, and I'm just going to color all of this with green. I'm going to try to color in with a single layer of color right now. So you can see that if I press harder on my marker, you can get a thicker line. So I'm just going to try to fill in all of the letters with green, and it's going to be almost like a light green color. I'm going to try not to go over any areas more than once. Some areas like the edge I might have to, but after I fill in this part, I don't want to color over it right now. We will do that a little bit later. But for now, we're just going to trace the inside with green. Like this. So once again, if I am on some of these parts of the letters that are thicker, like this part of the N, you can see how it's wider inside than this part of the N that's thinner. So in the wider part, you can press harder on your marker or even tilt it a little bit. So if you have it more straight up and down, you can get a thinner line. But if you have it less straight up and down and more tilted, you can get the line to be thicker. And making it thicker will allow you to color in more area at once. Okay, we're almost done with our first layer of green. There we go. Okay, so we tried really hard to keep this light green by only coloring over the areas once. Now we're going to go back and color over some areas again to make it look darker. I like to start at the very tops of my letters and come down. So for example, on this D, I'm going to color over just the top a couple of times, and you can see how much darker it looks at the top now. So let's do the same thing for all of our letters, just recolor over the top of the letter. The more you color over it again, the darker it will get. We can do that with the T. You can see I'm going backwards in the word, just for fun. We can even go over this part of the T again also. Just a quick tip, if you're using paper that is very thin, then as you continue to go over your color with more color, it might start to wear down the paper, so try to be gentle. Try not to rip the paper, just gently go over with some more color to make it look darker in the top section of the letters. We're using the same marker, we're using the same color green, but it's making it look darker green because we have more than one layer. Like this. Okay, I like to take a step back and look to see how it's going. Okay, it looks pretty good. So if there's any areas you notice that look maybe a little bit messy, like right here I can see some of my green came outside of the border, I can just go back in and smooth it up a little bit. or anywhere where it looks like the green needs to be even darker, you can go over again, just at the very tippy top of the letters, just the very tops, like this. Okay. Okay. So I don't want this word R to feel left out because we haven't colored it in yet. Maybe we can bring back some of the yellow from the top over here. We could color in the word R with yellow. And if you want, you can even color each letter of the word with a different color. Since these letters are connected, it can be hard to figure out exactly where one ends and where the next one begins. So if you're having any trouble, you can just think about where the lowest point is and then start your next letter there. So at this point, the A comes down here, and then right as it starts to go back in the upward direction, I'm going to change to a different color. I'm going to use orange for this R. The R in calligraphy looks a little bit funny sometimes. It doesn't look exactly like how you would write it in print handwriting. But this is one way of doing it in calligraphy. Okay, so now that I've reached this point, before I start heading back up into the E, I'm going to change to my pink. Just trace the word R, color in the letters like this. Okay. Now if we really wanted to, we could try to blend, similar to what we did in the word bloom, we could try to blend the letters together in the word. So I'm just using my yellow color and going back over this part where it goes from yellow into orange and just adding a little bit more yellow right there just to make it look a little bit darker yellow so that it moves more seamlessly into the orange color. I can even take my orange and do the same thing right here into the pink, like that. Okay, let's just draw a couple of flowers just to bring this illustration to life. So you can add flowers all around the quote. I'm going to pick a couple places inside of the letters to add some flowers. We're just going to start with yellow and draw a circle right here. Okay, and then we can choose one of our colors. I'm going to use pink to draw some petals. A fun, quick way you can do petals using a Crayola marker, instead of drawing the outline of the petal and coloring it in, you can take the tip of the marker and press it against the circle, the edge of the circle, and then press down, and it will make almost like a petal shape. And then just pick a few spots around the edge. You might need to spin your paper. Let's just pick 3 spots around the edge, and then we can fill in between, spinning the paper as we go to fill in some petals. If you press harder, the petals will be bigger, and if you press lighter, petals will be smaller. So you can try to make them all the same size, or you can make a variety. Usually in nature, there's sometimes a variety of sizes, like this. Okay. All right, let's do a flower in this area. Why don't we make the center of this flower orange? So just draw an orange circle. And then we can make the petals on this one yellow. So we'll do the same thing. Draw some petals going around the edge, just pressing the marker down like this. So there are a couple of flowers. We can add some leaves as well with green. So on this one up here, I'm going to draw a leaf shape. So a leaf can be tricky to draw. Let's start by making a curve that comes up and then back down. Kind of looks like a little hill that comes back down. Okay, and then I like to spin my paper. You'll notice that I spin my paper around a lot, and I encourage you to do the same thing. Then we're going to make a mirror image of that. So for this one, we'll start at that point, come up, and then back down. And that is our leaf. You can color the whole thing in with green, or you can draw a line in the middle and add some lines coming out like this. You can do one leaf, or you can do two. You can do as many as you'd like. I'm going to do two. So we'll draw a little hill like this, do the same thing. And add some lines down the middle like that. Maybe for this leaf down here, I'll make them a little bit smaller and I'll make it a little bit more around like this. So instead of having a really long leaf like we do up here, I'll make it shorter. And then I'll just do the same thing in the middle, adding some veins. And add one more leaf down here. Like this. Okay. So how is yours looking? Do you like the way that yours is turning out? I hope so. You can add some more details to this if you'd like. You can color in the inside of the "where you" words. You can use a different color, maybe something that you haven't used yet, like blue. You could add some more flowers all around the quote as well. And just try to make it your own. You can also try doing this whole project again with different colors and see what it looks like. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project and enjoy your coloring and your calligraphy coloring page experience.